5, 4, 3. Huzzah! Cheers! Navigator Longwood, what a great countdown that was. Very good. Very well played. I like that one. Well
Thank
played.
you.
Cheers to everyone. And for those of you that are just tuning in, my drink of choice for my shot tonight was Kilo Kai. If you've never tried it, it's pretty good. I like it. This is one of my birthday presents over the weekend. We'll be talking more about it. This is product of Caraco Dutch Caribbean. It's not bad. I think my brother kind of likes it himself too. So there it is. Welcome aboard. How you doing, Navigator Longwood?
I'm doing fine, Captain.
Very good, very good. And Mr. Henley, how are things going with you?
Tired, but I'm here.
That's because you're a working stiff. That's all right, though. And I see, I see a couple of people in. I see Zachary Harker, Captain Smoo, Scarlett Deerhart, Jonathan Miller. Cheers to all of you. And we have a guest for tonight, and he is waiting in the virtual green room. We'll be bringing him out in just a few moments. But for now, let's do our quote of the week.
You want the question or quote?
Let's do the question. Go ahead. Do the question first. The question: when you're in the mood to music out, what do you listen to? And the reason we ask that tonight is because our guest is a musician and a composer, and we'll be talking about music today. So think about it. What are you in the mood for when there's music to be played and you need music? So that's the question. And of course, we need a quote of the week.
Here it comes.
It's pretty good for that. Fantasy is a necessary ingredient in living. It's a way of looking at life through the wrong end of a telescope, which is what I do. And that enables you to laugh at life's realities. The great Dr. Seuss. Very good. I like that one. That's a good one. Very good. And Dr. Seuss, well, that's a good one. We should look at Dr. Seuss books more often. Maybe we'll do an episode on Dr. Seuss books.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be cool. We can get a whole lot of fun out of that. Very good. I see Adam Lemons and Christy Thomas have jumped in. Very good. Pleasure to see you. Nightingale in Florida has popped in. Very good. So we've got a good cast of characters as our rogues gallery, so to speak. So let's do a crew adventure real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still working on the possibility of a Rumfest in August. Our cruise social and recruitment is in July. The Seawolf Privateer event was 2 weeks ago, and I guess I should go ahead and remove that now. And June 18th is our normal Midsummer Night's Dream Gala, but we're going to postpone that for a year. And of course, always we do December and October Halloween Spooktacular and December Christmas Village. Those are still on the books for now. As the captain and his wife move to a new property, we'll be letting you know what we're going to do with all that. And of course, every Monday night, the Captain's Quarters podcast. So make sure you're paying attention and you're tuning in. It is always a good idea for you to join our YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And our YouTube channel is one way that you can actually catch the show live. And like all our comment people, you can actually then type in your comments and or answer our questions. So ladies and gentlemen, there it is right there. Oh, that's our Patreon.
Patreon.
That's not our YouTube. That's all right. Just a little quick turn of the navigation wheel, and that'll put us right back on course. There it is, right there. Very good. YouTube. Or you can just go to YouTube and put in Captain's Quarters Podcast in the search engine of YouTube, and you'll find us. That simple. Like us, subscribe us, get involved. At the end of the show, we'll tell you how many subscribers we have. I believe we're a few over 200, so that's a good thing to know. And let's see. One after event we should go ahead and talk about. And that is, this past weekend was my birthday. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and we had a wonderful time. My wife threw a party for me, and it was a redneck themed party, not a pirate party. And there was a lot of rednecks there, I'll tell you. There we are sitting around the fire enjoying. There was ham and bean stew. There was coleslaw. There was cake. There was beer. There was some of us sleeping. Actually, Leon was more relaxed than any other time I've seen him.
Quartermaster.
Yeah, we had quite a few, and there we are. You can't beat a pork rind and rum with cigars redneck party, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. There's Mr. Davy Longwood and Gina. Let's see who else is sitting there. Look at that. There's Donna and Annette. Oh, that looks like Mason standing there. Mason, and little Machete, and Bruce and his lovely over in the far end there. So it was a good time. And there's Vicky. She is our ship's purser. We tried to get her to get up on the bench and dance, but that didn't happen. So it was a great birthday. At least we had a good time. So there we have it. What do you think? Was it a good party, Mr. Longwood?
Oh, it's a very good party.
I did, Christy. We had a great birthday. We are sorry you could not be there also. That would have made the singing of the birthday much, much, much more fun. But hey, it was still a good time had by all. Be waiting. We've got another plan for another party in August. You be watching. The captain and his wife throw some pretty good shindigs in the backyard, and the new backyard is even twice as big. So it's going to be a lot of fun. On that note, I think we should bring our guest in. Oh, wait a minute. I have one gift I put here on the table that I wanted to brag off to everybody. The Navigator got me a really special gift. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a decanter. Now, it didn't come with the rum, but it's got a nice glass skull inside of it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That's my new decanter. I have Sailor Jerry's in it now because that's all I had out in the yard. I didn't want to open one of the really nice bottles. I think I got 12 different bottles of rum for my birthday. But it's really cool. Look at that. It's a great, to say it's one of my more favorite birthday presents would be fibbing. Well, not fibbing because it was my favorite birthday present. Of course, everybody else brings me rum, a few gift cards, and they're all just as important to me. And here's another thing. Out of 12 bottles of rum, not one duplicate. Nobody got me the same rum. So that's a good thing. Hi, Jonathan Miller. Thank you very much, sir. Happy birthday. I appreciate that from Mr. Jonathan Miller. So on that note, I can't think of anything else I've missed at this point. Can you, Mr. Longwood?
No, Captain.
Good. Then I think maybe we need to bring in our guest. What do you say? Open up the doors and let him in from the virtual green room. And there he is, Mr. Gino Sassani. Welcome aboard, guy. Welcome aboard. Wait a minute.
Thank you for having me aboard.
I need to go ahead and get my mug filled here. It'll
Please
make
do.
me speak a little easier. So let's put some rum in there and
Yeah.
have some good with that. So welcome aboard, my friend. Now, if any of you have been following the crew in any way, shape, or form for the last couple of years, Gino was one of our bands at our, was it our third? What year was it? 18 or 19 or 20? 19. 19. And yes, 19 was our third year, and then we did it again in 20, and then COVID hit. So
Right.
Gino and his band were one of our music bands for the Old City Pirate Fest back then.
And a blast it was.
What's that?
A blast it was.
It was a blast. We all got a lot of good rum, and it was a lot of fun. We did 2020. and then we haven't done it since, but there's plans for 2023 and 2024. So we'll see what happens. Maybe 2023 will be a reunion tour.
We'll be there.
That would be a lot of fun, a reunion tour.
Yes, it would.
Whoa. Somebody might have poured too much rum in that drink.
Can you
Although,
do that?
Sometimes I'm not sure there is such a thing as too much rum. So let's put a little of that in there. There we go. All right. So, how long you been in the music business? Which I happen to know, but let's tell everybody.
Yeah, I've actually been in the music business for about 40 years now. Did my first album in 1979. Wrote my first song when I was 11, so that was 72. But yeah, I've been releasing music since 1979.
And have had the same haircut since 1979.
Yeah, that's from my first band. We were called Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, for the longest time, we couldn't figure out why so many people thought these Catholic boys were Jewish. But we finally figured it out. The band was named because in the 70s, every band had, names of cities, Chicago and Nazareth and Boston. So we thought we'd pick a city. We picked Jerusalem and didn't realize people would think we were all a bunch of Jewish boys and we were Catholic boys.
Good Catholic Italian boys.
Good Catholic. Well, I was the only Italian in the band, but good Catholic Italian boys.
So how many albums have you done now?
I've got 7 out.
There's another one.
That's from Words, which was the second album. That was the recording session from Words. And that was from Legends, our third album, which had our first single that went around the world. People played it as far as Europe.
Very cool, very cool.
That's Invented Memories. That was the 6th album. And that's the 7th album. That's Ordinary Nights. And that's the 7th album. See, I'm losing count. That's the 7th.
Yeah, Davey Longwood will get you all confused if you're not careful. So
No,
you're
you did
working
them in the correct order.
Yeah,
He really did. I just lost count.
So the album you're working on now is your eighth album, and there is one actual pirate song on there.
Actually, one pirate song, but there's a lot of nautical songs on it. The album's called Merchants and Mercenaries, and it does have quite a few nautical themes to it. And our cover, thanks to help from Captain Mayhem, will feature a lot of nautical things on the cover. I wish I could show it to people now, but it's not finished. But it's going to be very nautically and piratey flavored.
But Captain, I do have the new song off an album. He sent it to me.
Well, go ahead. Let's Gino gave us this so we can play it. When you play it.
By the phases of the moon, may your seas be always tranquil, let your conscience be your own. May you never, never again be this far from home. May the gods reward your courage. Let your hearts beat ever strong. Let your foes not be forgotten in the verses of your songs. May a cutlass never find you till the sea reclaims your bones. May you never, never again be this far from home. Somehow the chains of this world never could bind you. Sooner or later we all hear the call to be free. Take care that the brightness of gold doesn't blind you. Always be mindful of your oath to the sea. got a dagger in your boot. May your cup be overflowing with the sweet warm taste of rum. May you never, never again be this far from home. Somehow the chains of this world never could bind you. Sooner or later we all hear the call to be free. Take care that the brightness of gold doesn't blind you. Always be mindful on your road to the sea. May your course be always true. Let your fate not be decided till the last man's fate is due. May your decks be always laden. Let no man drink alone. May you never, never again be this far from home. May your decks be always laden, and let no man die alone. May you never, never again be this far from home.
Good. Great. Wonderful song. Very good. And you got quite a few good comments already. And it appears that I have somebody new in my comment section, Carol Ames.
Oh, that's my wife's mother.
Ah, well, she's watching, and there she is. Always enjoy Gino's music. Looking forward to the release of this album. So that's your wife's mom, and
Yep.
that segues into. So that's your mom-in-law.
Yes.
So that segues into. If anybody noticed, there was some stringed instruments in there, and it wasn't a guitar.
Well, there is a guitar as well, but it's not all guitar. There's two strings in there.
There's a cello in there and a
That's
violin.
my favorite.
There's a cello from my wife Ellen,
Right?
Carol's daughter, obviously, and there's a violin from Kim Farmer, who goes way, way back. She released albums with me back 30, 40 years ago, and she decided to come down here and be a part of this one.
And Captain Smooth there is very interested in your pirate songs, and he'd like to play them on his pirate radio. So make some contact with them. We've opened the door for you, Mr. Gino.
Sure.
There's
Connect us
another.
and we'll talk.
And see, that's one of the things we're hoping with this podcast. At the end of the podcast, we always tell everybody, if you're a captain or a pirate and you've got an idea and you want to be a part of our show, please come, because we're going to open up doors. And we're not going to be as big as Joe Rogan, but that's our goal. It's always good to have a goal. But that's the beauty of internet platforming now.
I'd rather be with you than Mr. Rogan any day.
Thank you very much. So as I was listening to the song, and I had already heard it before.
You have.
But as I was listening to the song, I'll put you in a position here. Davey and I have been talking about trying to create a slideshow video of our crew, using lots and lots of pictures of our crew. And every so often we could put up on Facebook and just advertise our crew.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Mr. Longwood, what do you think of that song as a background for what we want to do?
Yeah, that'd be great.
But we'd have to have Gino's permission,
With my blessings.
and then that would then push that song out to be played on a regular basis. So,
You've got my blessing now.
and is that version okay to use that Davey already has?
That's an acoustic version. There'll be a version with drums and bass on it in a little while, but that version has been mixed professionally and done for public consumption.
See, I think that's a perfect version because it flows, it floats, and I can picture the way Davey pops our pictures in and out like you'll see when he does the our history of the week. I think that's a great song for us to use, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. We also have and they're watching us now is Adam and Christy. They've actually written a song about many of the members of the crew. We may have to start coming up with a way to start. We might have to have our own personal album.
There you go. You can put out a pirate album.
Put out a pirate album that has a mix of some of our other friends.
There you
and
go.
Maybe there'll have to be a track or two of just me doing comedy.
Okay.
It could be a wide mix album. It could be a lot of fun. So it's something we're looking forward to. Because I already know several of the gals in the crew. They want to do a couple of. There's a group called Peaches. What's that group called? David, do you remember the name of the group?
I don't
No.
know who you're talking about.
Broken Peaches. And they
That's a
do
good
some
band.
really good cover numbers in costume, and they want to do it. Adam is just message right there and put up. He's our musician of the crew, and he's a wonderful musician in his own right, and has some really wonderful, interesting ways that he plays his songs. And he's very good. And he's the one that wrote the song about the crew itself. I think Captain Mayhem is mentioned in it as some kind of a
Yeah.
whatever. But so let's talk about you, Gino. You've met quite a few music stars. I mean, when we had dinner last night, you talked about meeting Rod Stewart.
No, not Rod Stewart. Al Stewart.
Al Stewart.
Al Stewart.
Al Stewart. And I can think of two songs by Al Stewart. You're the Cat.
You're the Cat.
Cracker Box Palace.
That's George Harrison.
Oh, you're right. It is George Harrison. Well, there you go. I'm 64 now. I can't remember everything.
Hey, you're forgiven. I forget that stuff all the time.
Yeah, but Year of the Cat was one of my favorite albums. And what was that? 79, 78?
No, it was earlier. It was like 76.
Was it?
75, 76. It was mid 70s.
Yeah, I liked that music. And which
And
goes
Alan
with our,
Parsons was his producer.
what's
Alan
that?
Parsons Alan Parsons, who engineered the Dark Side of the Moon album for Pink Floyd and also did the Alan Parsons project. He
Right.
took on the album. He produced that album for Al Stewart.
Wow,
That's
very cool.
So different from other stuff he did.
Now your first albums, you were living up in New York,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. All right. And so aside from Al Stewart, throw out a couple other names. Let's be name droppers here for a minute.
Well, in 79, I got to meet Elton John, who's probably one of my favorite musicians over the years. I kind of lied my way from the soundboard guy to see him. I bothered the soundboard guy when I knew he didn't want to be bothered, and threw out some information, knowing some things about sound, and he took me back to meet Elton John for about 5 minutes. That was 79. I stuck up to Bob Hope's hotel room once in State College, and this is all to give people copies of the album to try to push the album. This is what musicians do when you want to push your work. And I also got to meet Dewey Bunnell of America, and he was very generous. He listened to songs on my album several times, and even talked about maybe doing one. Of course, he did. But so I got to do a lot of that stuff. I got to play with Tom Chapin, who was Harry Chapin's brother, in State College at an arts festival there once. So I got to perform WOLD, one of his brother's hits, with him for a little audience that was gathered. So I have my share of that, but I've always done my best doing my stuff. I've never been one for covers too much. You know, I've got so many songs that I just need to get them out there.
So now with the band that you have,
Mm-hmm.
you can play an entire set. Well, we got to classify a set. You can play an entire evening because a set is a 45-minute spot.
Yeah, I can do several evenings without
You can
repeating
do.
the song.
You have over 150 original songs, right?
I have over 750 original songs.
So if you go and play somewhere, you as we were, and this is a conversation that you and I had last night. We were talking about ASCAP, BMI, royalty,
Right.
paying and being responsible to the original owners of the
Exactly.
artwork. which I'm very into because as a magician, I have a few routines that are my routines, and I don't want everybody and anybody using them without some kind of compensation. And compensation sometimes is nothing more than respect.
That's what it is. It's respect.
And so you have enough that when you go and advertise to play as your band wherever you go, you're playing 100% non-covers, all original.
Yeah, we do covers from time to time as long as the venue okays it. I mean, it's not bad to throw one in there once in a while. That we'll throw in Pink Floyd or Elton John or something. But yeah, I cater to the places where they're not allowed to do covers. So I can cater to a place where I can go and do originals all night long and not repeat a song.
So, is your now the bands you had in 19 is pretty much all gone their own way?
Yeah, most of the bands that I had back in the, I had one band back in the 70s and 80s, and Kim, the one who did the violin on the work you heard, she was actually from that band. And we hadn't played together since 1989, and she came down to participate in this duo album. But I had that band. In the 90s, I had two really great bands in my life. I had one in the 70s and 80s, and then one in the 90s. And those were the two great bands that I had. I've had people since then off and on to do the songs, but I really did. I was lucky enough to have two really great bands with some wonderful musicians that bring what you do to life. Any songwriter appreciates other people's input.
Now, are you doing all the mixing and electronic coordinations yourself, or do you have somebody doing that for you?
I'm doing the recording, and we have had an engineer come in and do some of the things like the cello work to make sure that we were doing that correctly. And we will use an engineer in a studio for mixdown. But yeah, I'm doing the recordings on my own studio, and I still do that old school. I don't do the computer in a box. I have an old school 24-channel mixing board with the digital recorders and all that kind of stuff. I don't do it on a computer screen like.
Look, for anybody that's watching and listening, or anybody that'll watch this show in its recorded version, I can tell you for a fact that Gino is so old school. He doesn't own a cell phone.
I don't.
He is that old school. So
I do not understand. Never have, never will.
So in reality, as great as the more electronic, computerized stuff you can bring in to clean your music up, in reality, you're still using. I don't want to use the word raw. Raw is not the right word.
No, because I'm still digital. I mean, it's not that I'm anti-technology. We're still digital. I mean, the recorder I'm doing is a digital recorder that records on hard drives, just like your computer will. It's just that the tracks aren't what you call virtual tracks. These tracks are from a board, so you have a little bit of that analog in there that adds warmth to it. You know what's funny? All these digital artists, they do all this stuff digitally, and then you know what they have to do? They go and they add analog warmth to it to make it sellable, because the problem is when we hear pure digital music, it doesn't sound right to us, because we're not used to it. Every digital album ends up warming stuff up.
It's the same way with let's go with a painting and artwork.
Yeah,
there was an artist, KC, did a very nice portrait of me, but she sold the portrait. But what she did was she made a print of the portrait,
right,
and then with palette brushes put paint on the portrait to give it the appearance that it was real. That it was a real portrait.
The texture.
That's pretty much the same thing. It gave it texture, which is pretty much what we're talking about with music.
Yeah,
it gives it the texture. It gives it the reality. Isn't that why so many people are going back to LPs?
Oh, LPs are making a huge comeback, but they were never gone. I'll tell you who loved them. The reggae crowd, they never gave up LPs. The reggae crowd's been listening to records all along. They never gave them up.
So it's all art, from artists that I know that do painting and drawing, and then artists that I know that do music, and then artists that I know that do magic. Yeah. It doesn't matter the medium. All the artists have a certain aspect to the reality of it, the pureness of it, and that's really, it's one of the things I enjoy about talking to other artists.
Yeah.
And I have a few magicians that I talk to this way, but musicians, artists, singers. In fact, that's a really good quick segue to that next Monday night. I have a magician friend coming on board to be our guest, so we'll be talking about him. So it's your music is really it's not folk. It's
We
not.
used to call that the F word.
Do you really?
We do. I do. When people say this, please don't use the F word.
Yeah, but it's not folk,
No.
but it has soft rock is even a kind of an insult, isn't it?
Yeah, we call it acoustic driven rock.
All right, I like
even though
that.
We still use electrics. There's an acoustic drive there because on many of the albums, and you've heard them, you've seen us play live. There's electric guitar going on. There's all that electric stuff going on, but there's always an acoustic background to it going on.
Well, you visited St. Augustine what a year ago, and I set up a little bit of a music scene for you.
Yeah, we did that at the Casa.
Casavino 57.
Yes, we played there, and I made your wife cry. Which
Yes.
You know what? She didn't understand it, but to a musician, I love that.
Yeah,
You know,
certain music that she played that she enjoyed, and they want me to come back and do, and I don't think I've told you this, but they're really been pressing me to come and do a comedy night one night.
You should.
And my thought is that I can't do a whole night. That's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. I need music. I need some before and after, some fun, and make it a well-rounded show. And I've already thrown this to Adam and Christy because they're crew members, and now I'm throwing it to them again right here with public knowledge.
Yeah.
But it might be kind of cool to have you and your lovely come in.
Oh, we'd love to.
And it may
I
be
enjoy
something
playing
that we
with that. It's
do.
fun.
It may be something we do because of this move. Everything in our lives is all screwed up because of everything we have to do over the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, I'm
But-
sure.
And then nobody likes to wear pirate clothes in the summertime in Florida.
I get you, man. I get you.
Yeah. So Henley, Longwood, you guys got anything you want to throw at Mr. Gino? Come on. Don't be so quiet.
Yeah, don't be quiet. You can ask me anything. Nothing's off limits.
Ask him anything.
Hey, if you get Gino to come down, I look forward to doing the sound and stuff for him again.
And you did well for us the last time. Davey,
Thank you.
you
And
did
your-
do
your
the-
wife
the
plays-
support.
Yeah, she plays a really mean cello too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She's got it here in St. Augustine, so we always come prepared. We've got the cello and guitar here.
Well, maybe on Friday night around my fire circle, we are always available to you and the crew. Thank you, Adam. I always appreciate that. I never like to assume, but I always do assume. So maybe Friday night you come over and just play some acoustic around the fire.
It's a good possibility. We always bring them. When we go on vacation, we take the stuff with us. We never know what's going to happen. Last time you set up a gig for us, so we ended up doing the gig.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, and so right here, I mean, Friday night is one of those few nights left this month that I have a chance to just sit and relax and have a cigar because of the moving and everything. So we're making a plan to just do some music and conversation around the fire circle. So anybody that's listening, if you're in town, you want to come on in, and we'll be sending out a message for the rest of the crew this week that Friday night, no expectations of anything, but let's have some fun. Mr. Adam asks if your music is available on Amazon or any streaming platform.
You know what, Adam? The new album will be absolutely, and so will the other ones as this one sells and such. At the moment, it's not because I haven't gotten the help. I'm still a little not so good on figuring that stuff out. So I have someone who's going to help me do that. So yeah, the music will be available that way, but it's also available at our website at gesasani.com, all one word, in the Facebook thing that you have scrolling along the bottom there now. And Amazon does actually sell some of the CDs as well. But like I said, soon, by the end of the year, we will be up with at least 2 or 3 albums on the streaming platform. Looking forward to it, actually.
Good. Well, we're also considering working on some kind of a online store connected to the Captain's Quarters podcast, and
Great
any
idea.
of our guests that are part of our lineup as we go along, we'd like to make sure that they have the ability to sell on our store. We have a couple of authors that have written books. We want to bring them in and sell their books. So obviously books, music, artwork, whatever else. I know that Miss Deerheart has some wonderful things that we want to start putting up. So we're working on that. But as I said earlier, my entire life has been thrown into a tizzy because after 15 years we've been thrown out of our house and we have to take care of all that. And I still have to keep working and we still have to keep doing the podcast. We could have said we're not going to do the podcast for a week and a half or a month and a half, and that just doesn't work. We have to continue on with everything we're doing with our life and still fit in the challenges as we're doing it, which is exactly what you've had to do when your band kind of disassembled and trying to be polite about it. They just disassembled and went their own way.
Yeah, they went out to do a cover routine thing because I had, as you know, I had some heart surgery, just a heart valve repair back in about a year and a half ago now. And they just didn't want to wait till I was back into health again. And they had some issues, but it's just a matter of dedication. When you have people like that, then you have somebody who hasn't worked with me for 30 years who says, hey, can I come down and be a part of what you're doing? I want to be a part of this next album. It's a matter of people want to be there. And with this album, we only want people who want to be there. The people on this album, people who want to be a part of it and really, really get into it. And that's the only way you can do anything in art. As you know, in art, you can't force it. They have to want to be here. They didn't want to be here.
Because if you force people to do it, you're not going to get good entertainment.
Exactly.
And the good entertainers are the ones that love to do what they're doing, and their love shows through it. And then that love, when you're doing a live performance, that love of what you're doing is reciprocated by the energy you get back from the people that are watching your show. Adam is asking if you perform anywhere regularly right now. Adam and Christy are in Tampa also. Which
you're in the Tampa area. We do. We just got done playing at Moccasin Lake, the park out there, and we'll be doing more shows with them. And we're in the process of starting to get out. I mean, we've just gotten this new band together and these new guys. We got a great bass player, Gary. We love you. You're out there listening. And Donnie, a drummer I've had for 30 years, is back with us. So we're putting that together. But yeah, the acoustic version that you heard on the song, that's out there in Tampa, and we will be playing out there. And if you go to the website, we keep people well abreast of when we're playing, where we're playing. But you'll have plenty of opportunities to hear us in Tampa for sure.
And Adam and Christy are over there, and they have several weekly gigs that they play. They play as a couple. They're wonderful. When they come over here to the house, they'll sit at the fire circle and play and sing, and they're a wonderful duet. And they do some great sea shanties and some great nautical songs.
And they're in Tampa area.
And they're in the Tampa area. And Adam, and that was kind of one of my hopes is what I hope for this, with what we do with the podcast. So here's an open opportunity because Adam and Christy are in the same area you're in, that maybe perchance you guys can run into each other and support each other in what you're doing. And maybe, you never know, that there may be some actual joint efforts you can do together.
Reach out, guys. We love getting together with other musicians, just even go to the jam and have a good time together. We're always open to playing around with other musicians. So please reach out. Absolutely, guys. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
And Scarlett says, I love acoustic music. Yep.
Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you so much for that.
Acoustic music is really wonderful. You can put all the bells and whistles on everything, but when you're doing it the other way, it's pure entertainment, and it's a lot of fun. I'll revert it back to my magic. I've done huge illusions on stage with the lights and the sound and the 6 dancing girls and everything else, but there's nothing more pure than just doing a card trick or a coin trick right in front of everybody's eyes. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's pure art, and I'm going to speak. Blimey. Blimey. All right, that's enough of that. So it's pure art when you can do it like that in that venue, and it makes it. That's one of the things that I like about being an artist. I truly do. Adam's always looking to support local artists, as he said right there.
Thank you, Adam. That's how we feel.
Now Captain Stu has his radio show, and I hope that he makes some contact with you through at least your Facebook page, and that he plays some of your music.
Yeah, reach out, please.
He's got a little bit more experience in doing this podcast radio show stuff, and we're working on bringing him into the show, and then him bringing me into his show. So it's a tit for tat
Mutual
Rum,
effort.
Rum. It's a good collaboration, and there he is there saying he will. We just have to work on scheduling. That's all it is, and how much rum he's providing. But David, is tonight our 31st or 32nd episode?
31st.
31 is what you
episode.
told me.
What's that?
You told me 31. So
I thought it was, but today when I was typing up something, I for some reason I was questioning myself and I thought it was 32. So 30 episodes, 31 episodes, we've gone over a half a year already, and we're in pretty good shape. We've done really well. So we can only go up from here, and that's always a good thing.
So
So
you got a great setup here. You really do. It's an honor to be a part of it. I have to tell you, this is really neat.
well, when we originally planned this, you were going to come be a guest in the studio,
Yes.
but that studio is not in shape right now. But in the new house, we have a location in the new house. It's going to be an even bigger and better studio. Mr. Longwood has seen it, and it's going to be a lot of fun to set that up as an in-guest or a studio for guests.
Well, then you'll have to invite us back. That's the only choice
Of course.
you got.
Because we've gotten so much good conversation out of all this, we have to have you back. And I'm looking at the timer at the top, and I'm thinking, conversation's going good. We may go over a few minutes. Oh well,
I'm available. I'm here.
that's the beauty of this. We're not set to doing it for just an hour. As long as
Yeah.
we don't have people throwing stuff at us or turning us off, we're in good shape. So I keep wanting to ask, and I keep forgetting because we're on a different track. So
Ask away.
how was your meeting? How was your introduction, or how was your time when you got to, even though it was only 5 minutes or so? What was it like meeting the great Elton John?
You know,
He's my favorite, one of my favorites.
he is, but you know what was funny? There was never a doubt as to who the star was and who the kid, which I kind of was at the time. I was 18 at the time. And that disappointed me. You know, sometimes you meet your heroes and it doesn't work out real well. I mean, he was polite, but he never crossed the room to even shake hands. I mean, we spoke to each other from across the divide in a room, and he gave me about 5 minutes of his time, you know, which was generous. And I get that he just came off of doing a performance. I know how tired you are at the end of a show. So in some ways it was really neat, but in some ways it brought me down to earth. And in a way it was good because I started to realize these people are just regular people like I am.
Absolutely.
That's all they are. They're people who have good days, they have bad days, and he wasn't in a bad mood necessarily, but it was very clear, I'm the star, you're the kid who's coming into my presence, and you know, you're basically in my presence for this 5 minutes, and then you're done, you're dismissed. So it was like visiting royalty is what it felt like, quite honestly.
Well, in a way, he is royalty, isn't he? A rock
He
queen?
is. Yeah, he is. There's no question about it. You know, and the truth is that I made myself a pain in somebody's butt to get to see him anyway. It was just, you know, but I was hoping to push my music to him, obviously, but I didn't.
Wait. Say that again. You made yourself a pain in what?
I made myself a pain in the butt to this sound guy to get in there.
Well, okay, we're going to mark that just so everybody knows.
Yeah. I did. It was
The nice thing that I have with all the other artists that I feel are like family and close family is that we can rib and we can have fun and we can talk about each other.
Yeah.
But in the very bottom of it is the foundation of a good relationship with other artists is that you respect their genre, their venue, and their work.
I agree.
And it's I see Marauder Mason there. Oh, that must be a different Mason. And Scarlett says she was wondering the same thing. Is Hellfire alive? No, that's not Hellfire. There, we got a blow up doll and painted his face on it so that he sit there and we could have an extra person in there. So, and every once in a while, when you see his head move, that's because the cat is in the background pulling on a string. That's all it is. Oh my! So, what's your best memory of your 40 years in music?
Well, quite honestly, there's so many of them. One of the neatest things I ever got to do was they have, and I don't know if they still do it, just back in the 90s, they used to have this thing up at Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, and it was called the Festival of Falls. And I got to play that one year, and man, that was spectacular because there's literally tens of thousands of people gathered around the stage area, and they've got these lasers bouncing off of the waterfall. And it's so hard to concentrate on what I was performing because I was so amazed at, and I was so taking in the environment that I was at. So that was an amazing thing. You know, doing here in St. Augustine, doing the Pirate Fest, because I got to tell you, playing music where the stage was facing the San Marcos Castile, that was amazing for me too, because I'm a big history guy, and that's why I love St. Augustine so much, I think. And so that was a huge thing for me. And, you know, there were so many shows that we got to do. And I'm so lucky. We got offered a European tour back in the 80s and didn't take it because the band didn't want to do it. But I got lucky. I had a single in 82 called Elliot. And Elliot made it around the world. Radio stations all over the world were playing it. It opened up a lot of doors for me. It probably is the reason I'm still playing today. And unfortunately still have to play Elliot today. But, you know, there's so many of those memories. I have to tell you. But St. Augustine definitely high up in one of those memories. Even though that band didn't work out, that experience was a tremendous experience.
Well, St. Augustine has its own special kind of magic, that's for
It
sure.
does.
So
Yeah, it really does.
let's throw a little bit more light in the direction of your lovely wife who plays the cello.
Yes.
Is that the only stringed instrument she plays? I know
Yeah,
she's in the background there and she doesn't
She
like to
is.
really be on screen.
She doesn't
So we'll
like
just
it.
wave
She's
at her.
here.
Yeah,
She's here.
but
That's the only stringed instrument she plays, but she also plays recorder. And we had to buy her a piano this year because I was doing another podcast on this pet show that I do from time to time, and I made the mistake of taking her to the studio. And he has this big baby grand in his living room, and I never saw her have more fun. You know, she never had that much fun around me. So I saw how much fun she was having on it. So the newest addition to the Sassani family is a piano in the dining room.
well,
So
obviously the ivories on a piano are more fun to tickle.
Yes, they probably are. Well, I have to tell you, she's the true musician in the family. You know, I'm a mediocre guitar player and I'm a mediocre singer. I took up the performing aspect because I was writing. I wrote songs long before I even thought about being a performer. To me, the composing and the writing is where the great joy has been most of my life. And it gets to a point where, well, nobody else is going to play them, so you should probably pick up a guitar, learn how to perform so you can play.
So are you a lyricist or a composer?
I'm both. And it used to be, I think I'm more proud of the lyrics than I am of the music, because I used to do that first. It used to be you write these words and then you go do music to it. Now I kind of do them simultaneously, but I'm more proud of my lyric ability than my composition ability, probably.
So as you're writing lyrics,
Yeah.
do you have in your head the tones and the notes that you think are going to go with what you're doing?
Nah, I got to tell you, it just comes. It's amazing that you start with an idea. It might be a title that strikes you. It might be a concept that strikes you. Whatever it is that strikes you to sit down and write it. Once you sit down and write it, honestly, it's like someone else is pulling the strings. I never know where it's going to go until it takes me there. It's an incredible thing. I wish that I could tell you how it is I wrote anything, but I sit down and do it and something takes over and it just fights until whatever it is comes out. And then it all comes together. Or it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't.
Let me throw this out to all our listeners.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions they want to ask Gino,
Please.
don't make me be the only one. If anybody has some good questions, we've had some good questions already. If anybody has any questions along the lines of where we're going, pop them up there real quick. That gives Mr. Henley something to do because he's watching those messages and he'll pop something up there. But if anybody has a good question, we're at almost 50 minutes into the show. And there's still some things that we need to do, but Mr. Longwood, we'll do your history spot. We won't ignore it. We'll do your history spot in just a few more minutes. All right.
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good show. We have sometimes where when we bring a guest on the show, it's a lot of fun because the guest adds another faucet to what we're doing. But we have sometimes where we've done a couple of shows where we had no guest, and it was a lot of fun also. So it always depends sometimes on the subject matter. It also depends on the energy of the captain, and because he's getting so old, sometimes his energy is not always there. So we'll see how it works. Mick,
But I'm having a great time. I really am. I'm having a great time.
So, Scarlett, what instruments do you play? And be nice about it.
Why did you stop? I don't understand stopping. Why would you do that?
Hey, when I was a teenager, I played the trombone. and I quit when I got into my last year of high school. And I probably shouldn't have. I probably should.
What was going through the head?
You know what? I was more into my magic than my music.
Well, I get that. You're taking your art in a different direction. I think I can understand that.
But had I continued to play the trombone, who knows where I might have gone? I could have been another Irby Green.
Maybe.
Maybe, you never know. But
Or you could have been another Jason Schwartz.
Yeah, yeah, that too. So I mean, we take our directions and we make our decisions based on how things go. My art was one of the things. My artistic talents was one of the things that made me decide that after 15 and a half years in the military, it was time to leave.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we all get that. It comes into you, and you kind of feel like you have to. Oh, she played piano, bass, guitar. She plays everything. Okay, so I understand you might have to drop some of that and focus a little bit. But what was your favorite? If she answers back, I'd be curious to see.
I bet her favorite was the steel drums. I bet, and I'd love to have her come and play steel drums at one of our parties. Zachary Harker also played the trombone. Very cool.
There you go.
So yeah,
I've never had trombone in any of my songs. I take pride in bringing in some interesting instruments, and of course, cello has been a big part of my music for 40 years now. I love cello. It's one of my favorite instruments to write for. I've never enjoyed writing for an instrument more than I've enjoyed writing for cello.
That's one of my favorite instruments to listen to.
It's got it adds emotion to it.
And Tom Mason, he plays the trombone, and he has the trombone in his pirate band. He doesn't play it for every song, but he has a couple of good songs that he plays every one. And he plays the trombone, and he's going to be one of our next music guests if I can get him on board. I'm hoping for July or August with him.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of fun to have the different talents. Like Scarlett has all these different talents.
Yeah,
I didn't know she played some of those things.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I mean, we did an episode on certain presidents, and I found out that Richard Nixon played 5 different musical instruments. Never knew that.
I knew he played piano.
He played the accordion, the piano, the violin, the saxophone, and the flute, I think it was.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scarlett says, I had a lot of anger, and the drums helped me with that.
I'll bet.
I'm mediocre at best. Piano is what I've played the longest and performed the most. Well, we're just going to have to make sure we have some keyboards around next time Scarlett comes over and hangs out with us.
I have a friend back home who constantly thinks we need to add a kazoo player. So, Greg, maybe we can get this guy to do that for you.
Yeah, Christy, the kazoo. We'll get a whole bunch of kazoos and have a pirate kazoo band. That would be really cool.
There you go.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, the thing is, you never know what direction any of this is going to take for you. I mean, I got lucky that, when I graduated from high school in '79, we sold sandwiches from a local sub shop to get studio time to do an album. We never knew people would actually buy it. And, it set my life in a different direction. I mean, we might have done that and nobody would have bought it, and everybody would have told us it was horrible and I'd be doing something else. Need more cowbell. Yeah, Donnie, I'll bring that up to Johnny, my drummer.
Yeah, more cowbell.
But that's the thing, is you never know that people are going to like it. And that was a surprise to me at first, that people are paying money to hear this. Really? That doesn't make much sense. But
you know what? I can here. I'll equate it to this. Again, I go back to my magic, because that's the real art that I do.
It's an art just as much as music.
I was always timid and scared to get up and do certain magic tricks.
Really? I don't get that from you.
Oh,
I was. Hard to believe.
In the earlier days, I was. And then I started watching other magicians, especially when I was in Vegas. And the reason I was timid and scared is because some of the tricks were just so stupid, I couldn't figure out how people were so stupid to be fooled by it.
Yeah, well, I get that. That's how I felt too.
But it's the stupidity of the trick and the entertainment value you put into the trick that makes it not just a trick. Because my mentor always told me, always remember, dogs and whores do tricks, magicians do magic.
Right.
And I've always lived by that. And then when I started seeing other magicians, many famous ones that were in Vegas, and they were doing those same silly tricks, but what
Right.
they were putting into it was their personality and the entertainment. I went, well, crap, I can do that too. And it changed my confidence level in the way I did things.
Right.
And then at that point, I started doing comedy clubs.
Right.
And when I started doing comedy clubs, if you can do comedy clubs and get away with it, there's your chops right there.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, doing magic in a comedy club is one of the hardest things you ever have to do. And I did magic. I've had 2 shows. One show was in a biker bar, and it was a success. And another show was in a bar that the stage was surrounded by a chain link fence. So, and I got away with it in both places. So that builds your confidence, and it's got to be the same as a musician or any other artwork.
It does, but I got to tell you, I've never understood. People tell me that the number one fear is this fear of performing or speaking in front of people, and that I can't understand, because to me, the bigger the crowd, the better. I get energy from a crowd.
See, and it's never been the crowd. I've always, and you're right, you get an energy from the crowd, and the crowd is important, and you get that energy. I've done shows for 17, 18, 24 people and got great energy. And I've done shows for 100 people and the energy is crap. So
no, I didn't mean the number of people.
No, it's not the numbers. I know. It's not the numbers. It's just the energy you get.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference. So it's the experience that an artist, a performing artist, get under their belt, lends to the confidence level that makes them take chances. And when they take chances, they become even better, because the more chances you take, the more and especially if the chances go in a good direction.
You're right about the taking chances. One of the things my wife used to hate that I would do, I can't do it anymore because my brain, I'm getting too old. But what I used to love to do on stage is write a song while I was playing and just make it up as I was performing, because you can't afford to mess it up. You got to.
No, that's true.
You got to complete the song now. You got to give them a complete song, because you don't tell them you're doing that. I just say this next song is this, and I would go and start making that. And she would be on stage sometimes with me, and it'd be like, "What the heck's he doing?" So she didn't like that so much. But you're right. It's the taking the risks. It's the pushing yourself to that boundary, and then that audience thing. I've always told every musician I've ever worked with, you treat an audience of 5 the same way you treat an audience of 5,000.
Yeah.
You treat them as if they're the number, you're playing right to them. And it's made us, we played one time, we did a show, there were only like 5 or 6 people there. There were a bunch of doctors that turned out from some convention. And at the end of the show, they gave us a $150 tip, because they said, you know what, you made us feel like you were giving us a private concert. And it's like, we didn't know they were rich before, while they were playing, but.
Here's the only time it backfires, when you've got a small crowd.
Yeah.
I had a theater in Tucson, Arizona, and we did 6 shows a week, and this was around 95, I think.
Yeah.
And we did 6 shows a week for 6 months. And the second week, I think it was a theater that sat 201 people. I don't know why there was 201 chairs there, but it was 201 people. We opened the curtain goes up. We had the screen roll curtain. The curtain goes up, and I've got 6 people in the audience, and they're all the same family.
Yeah.
And a lot of magic is audience participation.
Right.
I was running them ragged, making them climb up on the stage for every damn trick I was doing. But at the end, they had a great time because they were a part of the whole show. But
Yeah.
it was when the curtain went up, I'm sure my face showed that I was like, wow, this is a tough show. But they had a good time. It was like mom and dad and 4 kids.
But the show goes on. It's, I always tell people, it's not their fault that no one else is there. They're the ones who showed up. So those are the good guys,
Yeah, and that's the perfect way to look at it. Adam says that he never feared the crowd. He just feared himself. And I got to tell you, Adam, with your talents, you have nothing to fear.
What do you fear? I don't get that. Fear yourself.
with your pirate brothers there, Adam, you'll never have to fear any of that. So we're always going to be there to support you some way, shape, or form. So it, being an artist in any realm that allows you to talk to other artists in other realms
Yeah.
on an even basis actually also gives you confidence because it gives you other ideas on how to do things. Because you get to hear other people's philosophies.
Right.
You know, our conversations over dinner last night were enlightening and helpful. Because I mean, some of our conversation was political,
Yeah.
and we thank goodness we both sit on the same side of the political
We
scale.
do. Yeah.
But um,
But I
our,
don't care if someone doesn't. If they're willing to debate, honestly and not get personal. I mean, I went to a Catholic school and we were taught the old classic education of rhetoric and oratory and debate.
right.
Americans don't have those skills anymore. They don't
No.
know how to debate in a intellectually and expanding exercise anymore. They just
Well,
don't.
if you start any conversation in the political arena or any other arena, if you start any conversation and the first two lines out of your mouth are something defamatory towards the person you're about
The
to
other
talk
person. Right.
to, I walk away. I'm not going to
Yeah.
even have a conversation with you. So Captain Smooth says aye to that, and I believe he was talking about he's agreeing to the idea that we all are working together as artists and we have the understanding and it makes us all work well together. So it is the way it is. We have hit that 1 hour mark, 1 hour and 1 minute, and I think we need to let Mr. Longwood play his video for a few minutes. We always do a This Week in History. So why don't you play that, Mr. Longwood? Let's go ahead and really see what else is going on besides all of us artists just having a good time talking. we'll go ahead and do what we need to do, and maybe he'll pop back in. We'll see what happens. And I love these musical interludes. I guess that is good for Adam. Time flies when you're having rum. Well, I'm having rum, Captain Smooth. So, yep, time flies. Thank you for remembering Bruce Lee. One of my heroes in the martial arts, I can tell you that. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Yes, all right, I'm not a singer. Hopefully Gino will come back in. But while we're waiting to see if he pops back in, he's on Wi-Fi with his tablet, so that might have been a problem. We'll see what happens. If he pops back in, just throw him in there, Longwood.
Okay.
So let's talk about our thank yous and our appreciation. First, an appreciation to Mr. Longwood. He does such a great job doing those videos, and there's even things in there I learned. And that's what makes it fun for me. I learned some things in there, so that's really cool. Let's go with thanks to our show sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our show sponsors. And you can see all of our sponsors there. Pirate and Treasure Museum, Paper and Strings, Dick's Wings, Shiver Me Pictures, Colonial Oak Music Park, and our charities, Inc., St. Augustine Youth, and Humane Society. Those are our show sponsors and our charities. We don't have to do that second segment. It's not the same video or same poster we used. Did we forget the other poster, or do I need to remake that one because it was so blurry?
I'll probably remake. I mean, I have them, but I thought for time. I mean,
Yeah.
I got it.
There it is. There, that time. That's the way it is. And I'm not worried about time. What about crew support? Show our crew personal banner, which also is the same one. So never mind. We got that. There it is. Inc. There's our charities there. Inc. St. Augustine Youth Humane Society. My apologies for the blurriness. We'll fix those soon. And there it is. Look at that. The Powder Monkey and us cartoon guys right there. Very good. Also, Patreon. Where are we at now on Patreon? How many supporters do we have on Patreon?
We have
213. We're just jumping up the scale. Look at that. 4 sponsors, 213, and we have 6 $5 first mates. That's a real good thing. We need to list out our first mates from now on, and I need to make sure that every one of our first mates got one of our challenge coins. I know a couple of them did, but I want to make sure everybody else did too. So
Gino needs a coin for being on the show too.
What's that?
Gino needs a coin.
He does. He's going to get one Friday night when he comes over. I have one set aside for him. And we want to let everybody know that if you want to be a guest or a sponsor, all you got to do is holler at us. Send us an email. We have a great email. It's checked on a regular basis. And Mr. Longwood's going to put that email up for you to keep up with us. But if you want to be a part of our guest lineup or you want to be one of our sponsors, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. It saves us from having to put the notices out. We'd rather have people that want to do it send us a message and be a part of it. Also, if you're the captain of a crew and you want to brag about your crew, you want to brag about the good deeds that your crew does, we'd like to have you to be a guest on our show and talk about your crew. We've already done it with Scarlett Deerheart. In fact, she's scheduled to be back with us on May 23rd. Yes, I got that right. Look at that. I did get my coin for being on the show. Didn't get my coin. Well, since you're going to be on the show again, I'm going to give you 2 coins. How's that, Scarlett? That should make you happy. And ladies and gentlemen, we want you to just email us ideas for the show, thoughts for the show, guests for the show, anything you have in mind for the show, because we can sit here and do what we want, but it's much more fun to do what you want because it opens up many, many more doors to have a good time. So, new on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, I have a friend of mine, Mr. Ratliff. He is a professional magician up in the Jacksonville area. We've worked a couple of things together. We've been collaborators on a few things, and I've invited him to be a guest and talk about magic and the art of magic, and I look forward to having him on. He's also done some pretty good television programs, so it'll be interesting to have him on. That's next week, May 16th. May 23rd, Scarlett Deerheart with Shiver Me Pictures and her crew. We'll be talking about them. May 30th, we're going to talk about Memorial Day and what it means to everybody. And June 6th, we're hoping June 6th we'll have Sketchy Guy. on board with our show, and he's the one that did the wonderful, great cartoon drawings of all three of us and the Powder Monkey, which Mr. Longwood keeps popping up there every once in a while. There it is. Look at that. And our logo too. We had an original logo in the very beginning, but once we saw this cartoon stuff, we like this better. And since we don't take ourselves serious, why should anybody else? So let's be cartoonish and have fun with it. So that is it. We don't have anything for June 13, 20, and 27th, but we're still looking at some possibilities. And of course, July 4th is a Monday, and we are going to do a July 4th episode. So we'll see what happens. On top of that, I just heard a cling in my, and I'm betting, I just got a message from Gino that says his Chrome is not letting him back in.
I just sent him another invite. See if
All right,
that.
see what happens if that'll pop him back in.
Yep.
Good enough.
I got your back, Gino.
I'm back.
All right. Is he back?
Yes.
Hey, that
I'm
was a
back.
good magic trick. It
Yeah,
looks like you got a different
disappeared.
shirt on.
You made me disappear, and I'm back.
Very good, very good. So before we go, we always like to do one more thing before we say anything, to say goodbye and anything. And we've gone an hour and 12 minutes. So I want to make it at least an hour and 15. Who's over there? There's Aurora.
This is
Aurora's a
Aurora.
good dog. Look at that.
Our
And
son,
all you dog people, go ahead.
she took us off the air because she wasn't paying attention to her, so I was allowed to come back if I gave her some airtime. That's the deal. I
There
had
you
to
go. Now, Aurora is a good dog. Aurora and Max get along pretty good.
They
And
do.
Aurora will be coming over to visit Max on Friday evening, so that'll be a good
Good,
time
Aurora.
too. So let's see. Any last minute comments or anything that I might have missed in there? Mr. Henley, you're keeping track. Did I miss anything? Are we good?
Nope, Captain. I think we're all caught up.
I see Zachary Harker says he needs a coin. Adam Lemon's got their coins. Scarlett Deerheart didn't get her coin. We'll figure that out. Scarlett holds out for 3 coins. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. And Mr.
I
Harker.
leave for a couple of minutes, and now there's coins being given out.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
Yeah, you got one coming to you on Friday night for being a guest of the show.
Okay.
Hey, you got a picture of that, Mr. Longwood? Pop that up there because I don't have it on me. That's our coin. It's a poker chip. It's a $100 poker chip, which always black is $100 in Vegas.
Okay.
And we give everybody one of those that are part of our show. And that's our ending quotations when we sign off. But Mr. Gino, you'll get one on Friday night when you come over for the fire circle.
Looking
And
forward.
anybody that's available that wants to come over and sit and drink some rum on Friday night for a couple hours, come on over. My house is always open, much to the chagrin of my wife at times, but because the house is such a mess, she doesn't care anymore either. So we're in good shape. We've had a good episode tonight. A lot of fun. Is there anybody else that has anything they want to say? I saw Harker. He wants a coin. What do we make him give us to get a coin? You can't just have a coin. You got to give us something back. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Well, Captain,
I
he
have to
technically
say about-
was
Go ahead.
on one of the podcast episodes.
What's that?
He technically was on one of the podcast episodes.
Was he on the one that we did the round table?
Yes.
Yep, that was when we opened up to our viewers.
That's right. That was an experimentation night, and he was a part of that. So guess what, Mr. Harker, you send us a way that I can get you that coin, and we'll put it in the mail to you. And then you got yourself a coin. Are you a Patreon? Is Mr. Harker a Patreon?
I think so.
Oh, well, guess what?
That's
Harker, I'm
the
going to
deal.
send you coins. I'll send you 2 because you helped us out on an experimentation. A couple of weeks back, we did an experimentation where we brought everybody in. I think
I saw
I just
Ellen.
saw somebody standing in the background back there.
Yeah,
I saw her.
That's her. She kind of popped in there for a second.
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
looked
she
like
knows
she was
you
like
popped.
covered up in a robe or something. She was getting ready to do a dance for us or something.
It's hard to recognize her without the cello.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize her without the cello.
Well, it was a good night tonight. We had a good time. Under the crew of the Silver Moon.
Mhm.
Let's make sure we get Mr. Harker a couple of coins. And to show you how bad my memory is, Mr. Harker, you're up in the Michigan area. Is that correct? You can answer me real quick when you can. I believe you're up in Michigan. I'll put a couple of coins in an envelope if you make sure you get me an address to mail it to you. Or are you coming down anytime soon? That would be a great time to have rum and give you your coins and a handshake in person. Yes, Michigan it is. All right. So we'll figure it all out. We'll get you your coins. No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached a point where we are now at 1 hour and 16 minutes. And I think this might be the longest show we've done.
I'm honored.
So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And can I say how great it was to be here? And I appreciate the invitation. And quite honestly, this was a really, really good time for me.
It was. The conversation was great. Like I told you, I have no idea what I'm going to ask you. We're just going to go with the flow and have a good time. And I did improv comedy clubs all the time. I just don't like it being set up. I like it just to do whatever happens. And sometimes that backfires on me. Sometimes we have a pretty boring show. Tonight was not a boring show. It was a lot of fun. You've had a great career in the music industry as a musician, a composer, and a performer.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to have made your acquaintance over the last 4 or 5 years and to be a part of what you're doing. And I'm sure there's going to be some other times where we're going to be doing more work together.
I hope so.
We have
And
the
by the way,
possibility.
people should know as well that Captain Mayhem has really helped out with the CD when it comes out. There'll be some thanks to him in there. That cover you helped me design and put out there. And so you're a big part of what we're doing now too. And we're glad we hooked up with you, trying to, and that's where it came from, trying to find somebody to help with putting those pieces together. And it turned out to be a really nice thing that we hooked up with.
And the cover picture was a bunch of all kinds of pirate props and everything to make it exactly what you wanted. We came up with all that.
Some lyric sheets.
Yeah.
Tried to make it where this Captain Pirate also wrote songs on the side.
Yep.
That's the
It
idea.
was very cool. It was a lot of fun to put all that together. And I see that Zachary Harker says he's going to be in St. Augustine in October. So we're going to hold your coins until then. And then we're going to have some rum and I'll give you your coins in person. Barker is going to be on the show in October. You mean Harker. That's all right. Hey, Christy, don't let Adam hit the keyboards. Wait, are those keyboards in Braille? Never mind. Okay.
He's probably using that. What is it? The speak to text
He's
stuff.
using
That
the-
stuff's
he's
very
using the
fidgety.
Using the voice. That's what it is.
Yeah, you have to talk like a robot, or else it'll start typing random stuff.
It's a good thing Adam has such a great sense of humor, and it's also a good thing that he's 4 hours away, so I can't get punched in the nose. We love you, Adam. You know that. So I can't think of anything else. I'm having so much fun. I'm just dragging it along, and I probably should just go ahead and say, hey, we're done with it. You guys have been a good crew tonight. It's about time to pull into port and say we're done. What do you think, Mr. Longwood?
Aye, Captain.
Good. What do you think, Mr. Henley?
All right, Captain.
Gosh, we're going to have to do something. I'm going to have to write a verbal script for Mr. Henley so he'll start talking more. All right. So we're going to sign off at 1 hour and 20 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Longwood.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always to everyone, we thank you very much for being a part of our show tonight. All of our comments, all of our listeners, all of our supporters, we love you. We thank you. And hey, good to see you. Good to have you here. Till next week. Aye.